Hello, lovely people of the internet. 'Tis I, LMNOP, Savage Minnow. I am here again solo tonight. The Holy Spackle is doing well. There's an issue at their building where they're having to have all of the fire alarms tested. So the dogs are not having it, and the dogs took precedent, and the dogs needed to go to the dog park. And I completely understand. So we're sending our love to Spackle and Mr. Spackle and Sally and Raffle. And yeah, it sounds like Spackle is healing up well. So I'm hoping that next week she'll be back. Up until like an hour before the show, we were like, okay, yeah, we're going. Yeah, it was just too much. It was just too much for poor little Sally. So, oh my gosh, Sandy, your pipes are frozen or darn near froze. Okay. One to the work sink in the basement. Just found it just in time. Master bath toilet needs work too. Oh my gosh. Fun, fun, fun. I was so worried when my furnace wasn't working. How long was it that my furnace was like not working for? So long. It was I remember they initially were like, oh, it'll be 2 weeks, and then it was like there was a snowstorm. It was well more than 2 weeks. I think it was like closer to 3 or 4 weeks. But yeah. Super fun times, right? The world we live in. How warm is it there? Here it's pretty chilly. I don't actually know what the outside temperature is. Oh, I can look here. So, yeah, 22 Fahrenheit. And inside it's like 60. No, actually, okay. That's better. What is it going to be? Yeah. So we're at 70. So I've got 2 space heaters in this room. But yeah, it's freezing before the show. So yeah, sending our love to the Spackle fam. I'm talking to you guys. Doubting Thomas is 51 there? That's not bad, unless that's inside. If it's 51 inside, that's a little chilly. But yeah, I'm talking to you guys. Your pipes are freezing. How cold is it getting there? 20. Outside. Oh my gosh, outside. Yes, that must be very cold for you, Doubting Thomas. Sounds nice. Sounds nice. But you know what? I complain about the weather in the wintertime here. It's not really that bad. We're kind of used to it. We're all used to bundling up. Just add more layers. In the summertime, there's only so many layers you can take off. So really, not too bad here. Doubting Thomas says keep some water running. Yes, we do get used to doing that when it's really cold, really, really cold. It might, yeah, it's probably cold enough that I should be doing it here. It's kind of like when you live in Florida and like you get used to all the hurricanes down there, like there's a certain point in which you stop filling your bathtub every year. Because that's the thing that we do down there. We fill our bathtubs with water just in case the water goes out. Then we'll have at least that much, freshish water, close to fresh water. Pacific Northwest is pretty mild. Yeah. Yeah, I'm jealous. A little bit jealous. But that's okay. That is okay. So let me see if I can make myself disappear. There we go. I'm hoping you guys can still hear me. Quote of the week this week is try not to become a person of success, but rather try to become a person of value. It's an Albert Einstein quote. And I like that one. That one struck me. And also I lost track of my notes of I had a list. I had a list of quotes. Dang it. So if you gave me one, I might have lost it. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. So let me try and get this over there. Actually, let's do this way. Why not, right? So I was going to talk about the bite model. I've talked about talking about the bite model a few times in relation to the 12 steps. I do have this, which is kind of goes into a little bit of what's going on with the bite model, but I really did kind of want to go more in depth with it. And I started preparing a little bit for it today, but I think that it's something that I really do want to go more in depth with. And maybe I'll just prepare that for the next time that Spackle has issues with the dogs or something comes up. And because I thought that it would be really cool to instead check out this guy who the thing that I find so very intriguing about this video when I first saw it, I came across this on Christmas, and I am not a Christmas person. I don't talk to my family or anything. So on Christmas, I was basically just by myself, chilling here in the place that I had just moved, scrolling on my phone because we didn't have a TV yet. And I see this, and the thing that intrigues me is I don't know if you can see the date here. Because this whole part to me, apart from the fact that it's Gmail, the whole top part where it has the phone number and all of this on it and the date, is screaming 90s to me. 90s, early 2000s. I feel like this should be a VHS tape. And then the part down here feels like it's added on later. But I think it actually might all be, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that is added on later. Hard to say. Hard to say what was going on with this guy's camcorder, but I like it. So I clicked on it and I was like, oh my gosh, This guy is saying all the things that I've been saying for so long, and, he's very charismatic, and he's kinda awesome. So I thought that it would be fun to watch him, and that was my other backup episode that I had in my back pocket. So I'll give you guys a minute if you have comments, if there's one that you, like, strongly prefer. Like I said, I'm thinking this one's probably the better one for today, but if you want, we can, like, maybe start on the bite model or, like, go over a little bit of it and then maybe make it a shorter episode. Because I do think that I really just need to sit down and, like, write all that shit out before I even come on stream with it, as opposed to just bringing my information and putting it together. Because I feel like with this whole thing with the orange papers and stuff, I am presenting it to Spackle. A lot of this, it's the first time that she's seeing it. Now, I have sent her, I think, like, the links to, like, where she has just read over, like, oh, these are, like, the 12 secrets kind of thing. But I know that she hasn't had time to, like, click around and, like, really deep dive into it. And so I'm trying to, like, give that sort of juxtaposition of, like, having looked the material over versus somebody who is, kind of newer to it. But I do feel like with the bite model, it really does deserve to have, at some point, a really deeper look to it. So, Doubting Thomas says, AA saved my life, and I understand it's not for all, and I think it's grossly misunderstood by a lot of people. So, here's my thing: is I don't actually think that AA is all bad, and I think that Bill had. This is hard to say, actually, considering, like, some of the research that I've done this week. But I do think that Bill had kind of good intentions. Unfortunately, I think that he had some mental illness and stuff like that. My initial thought was that, like, Bill had good intentions, and then, like, that stuff after he died, that, like, people must have, like, take it, and maybe when he got older and stuff, that, like, people took it in a direction that he didn't intend. Some of the stuff that I found recently, like I said, is a little bit, like, sketchy, about, like, him, the way that he's, like, treated other members of those initial groups. But that's not to say that I think that he did believe in the program. I don't think that he had, like, fully worked the steps in, like, the way that he claimed at the time that he wrote the big book, The 12, according to his wife after he died. Now but yeah, I never met Bill. Fuck Bill. Well, here's the thing: is I feel like the thing that, like, Bill was trying to do, I kind of want to, like, support that, but also at the same time, I really have a problem with the program. And the thing that I think I have the biggest problem with is my little big book. I need to get, like, one of the blue big books so that when people are like, page whatever, I can find it. But it's in chapter 4. Let's see. So 1, 2, 3, fourth paragraph in chapter 4. Science may one day accomplish this, but it hasn't yet. So it's talking about, we've tried every imaginable remedy. In some instances, there has been brief recovery followed by always a still worse relapse. Physicians who are familiar with alcoholism agree that there is no such thing as making a normal drinker into an alcoholic. That's not true. That's not true. Making a normal drinker out of an alcoholic. I want to make sure I said that the right way. Science may one day accomplish this, but it has not done so yet. It has. And I will agree with Bill that it hadn't been accomplished in 1939, but it has now. And there's, smart recovery. There's all kinds of recovery programs that have, like, really, really good success rates that don't take advantage of people, that don't put them in this, like, shame cycle, that don't really, really hurt people. And that's the thing, is I find that AA and NA is it's sort of I was talking to a friend about this recently. I don't know, and I need to look into this, but I don't know if before Prohibition, there was any sort of concept of recovery, like a recovery group where you work among your peers, where like one alcoholic is, trying to help another alcoholic. I don't know if there were any sort of peer groups, support groups like that before Prohibition. And this, Oxford group was came up out of Prohibition. This is, like I said, 1939 was when he wrote this. Now he was not sober when he wrote this. He was not sober when he wrote 12 and 12. I think that's kind of one of the core issues with the program is that like the person who came up with the program couldn't even work the program. But I do think that there are certain things within it that help people. Reverend Buchanan or Buckman, was it used Reverend Buckman? He, I think, had kind of a decent idea. Like I don't hate it as far as like sects of Christianity, right? Like his whole concept of the 12 steps, which had nothing to do with alcohol, but kind of just had to do with like surrendering yourself over to God and the Word of God, and that we were powerless over God. That there is something in that I think is helpful for people with substance use disorder, alcohol use disorder. I do think that there is something to that. I don't I used to be softer on the 12 steps, but it's like the more and more that I find out about it, it's like, "Oh my gosh, this is messed up. This is messed up." Yeah, I mean, if that is something that you desire, yeah, but it's not it doesn't mean, like, go out and, like, try and have a beer. Like, that's not I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if that is something that you strongly desire in your life to be able to, like, socially drink and to not have that be a trigger to you, like, absolutely talk to your doctor. Smart recovery, there are certain, like, medications that, they can help you, like, sort of break your, I forget what it's called, but it's like the dopamine cycle basically that you have, um, where you find alcohol to be pleasurable and it takes away the stress. It breaks that sort of connection in your brain. Yeah, yeah. I'm absolutely not saying that's why I was saying like I'm not saying go out and have a beer. Don't do that. I'm saying talk to your doctor about getting on a medication to eventually maybe have a beer if that's something that you're interested in. You have no desire to okay, yeah. And that's I have no desire to drink like most days. I think the last time I had something to drink was Um, like New Year's not this past New Year's, but the New Year's before maybe? Um, but yeah, that's I I just don't have a desire I can drink when I want to. I have a desire for this because I think that it helps my anxiety, my, like, social anxiety a lot, but other stuff as well, yeah. But I have also been able to, like, quit things. Now, I will say, quitting cigarettes was, like, much harder than any of that other shit for me. Alcohol, that was easy peasy. But, what's according to the AA group that I was in, I was absolutely an alcoholic. Because even if you only drink once a year, if you have issues with once a year when you drink, you're an alcoholic. But I will agree that there are probably groups that are, have less of the cultiness. That is part of I think part of the issue with sort of, um, evaluating it with the bite model, and that is one of the reasons why I do wanna take the time to, like, sort of break it down and say, "Hey, how much of this is in the big book and how much of this is in the culture?" Because I think that there is some difference there. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate your comments. Drinking was never a problem, stopping was. I've heard that before, yeah. Still battling the cigarettes. Yeah. Oh my god. And I would have never been able to stop the cigarettes when I was still in the meetings. Um, what it took for me was like living with somebody who had emphysema from smoking cigarettes and being like, oh shit, I don't want this for this person. I can't do this to I can't, in my right, in my right mind, do this to myself while watching this person suffer. Yep. Yep. So is anybody opposed to the gym battle video? We need to do the bite model this week because it sounds like we're okay with doing the gym battle video. I'm going to keep my eye on the comments and go ahead and start. Oh, didn't even realize that we weren't at the beginning. Yeah, this is again 2013, so it is over 10 years ago. But like, hey GS, welcome. We are watching Reverend Jim Battle talk about why Alcoholics Anonymous is serious. And this looks like it's from the 90s, but as we've assessed, 2013. I love it. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I forgot that was on there. I'm going to wait until the end of the screen. Wow. Okay. That was, sorry about that. And I kept thinking that it was just going to be like, stop any second now. But yeah. Doubting Thomas, I would like to have you on as a guest sometime. I'm not really set up for it today, but hit me up. Are you on Discord? You can hit me up on Discord, and I would love to chat with you about it. We can set up a time. That'll be awesome. We should do. Okay. I do have sound turned back on. Hopefully it's not going to pierce our ear holes again. Woo.
Hi, my name is Jim Battle, and I'm here today to tell you about a program that has been popularized over the last 75 plus years called Alcoholics Anonymous. And I want to say right off that this is not just about the program Alcoholics Anonymous, but all of its offshoots, Narcotics Anonymous and Cocaine Anonymous, Meth Anonymous. They've got dozens of these things right now, literally.
I don't know if they actually have like Meth Anonymous. I do think that they have Cocaine Anonymous, if I remember correctly. I don't know if it's on this one. It's not on this one. Okay. But it's right? Yeah, no. Oh crud. Shouldn't have done that. That's the one. But I do think they actually have Cocaine Anonymous. I don't think they have Meth Anonymous. I don't think that there is one for like every single drug. I think that NA covers a lot of it. Get that FA going. Is that Feelings Anonymous? I don't remember all of them. There's so many of them. To be clear, I was in AA and NA for anybody who's watching this. I know you guys who've been here know that, but yeah. Yeah.
Really, that are actually just copycats of Alcoholics Anonymous. So basically what you're going to hear today about this particular program applies to the others. Basically, they're teaching the same things and doing the same things. So just keep that in mind so that you don't just stay focused on, hey, he's speaking against Alcoholics Anonymous. No, Alcoholics Anonymous just happens to be the first of these programs. And that's why I'm using it as the example. And plus,
And I agree, like how Alcoholics Anonymous is the grounds for a lot of it. And that is part of the reason why I go after specifically AA, is because like if it doesn't work for AA, then it doesn't work for any of them. Right? If it works for less than 5% of people in AA and less than 5% and 5% of people will self-desist drinking without AA, then we need to be showing some type of empirical evidence that it works for these other programs. It doesn't work for AA. We don't have empirical evidence that it works for AA.
Most of the quotes that I'm going to give you will be from Alcoholics Anonymous. So just keep that in mind. And let me take it even a little bit further. Even
that
these treatment centers where
I
people stay
got
for
it from that.
months, 30 days, 60 days, 6 months or whatever, that use Alcoholics Anonymous, they're part of this problem too that I'm about to explain to you in this program. Now, I'm going to do 4 programs. So I'm telling you now, keep your eye on the date, because you might see me again and say, oh, I've heard that message. Well, this says 11/29/2013. The next one will be dated.
Yes, that's exactly my point. Doubting Thomas, is that like the same percentage of alcoholics will recover, whether they go to AA or not. But there is programs like Smart Recovery, and there's another one that's just slipping my mind right now. But yeah, there are recovery programs that like have much better outcomes, much better percentage outcomes than AA. AA is the same whether you go to AA or you don't go to AA. You have about the same percentage of quitting if you legit want to quit. Perpetual recovery is the biggest problem with their logic. Yep. Yeah. It's not forever. When you break your leg, you have to recover from that. You have a period of recovery where you're nursing yourself back to health. You're being careful. You've got it in a cast. You have to do things a little bit differently. But once that heals, you're finished recovering. And that's what recovery is. That's how recovery works. The perpetual recovery is the AA model of I'm forever in recovery. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. Jails, institutions, and death, as we say in NA.
At another date. So just, pay attention to
that. And that's, by the way, that's what we would say that would happen if you leave the rooms without working the steps. Our only other options are jails, institutions, and
the dates, because there will be new information in each program. So don't get fooled by the fact that I have on the same shirt and tie when you're watching.
You don't have to. You don't have to always be an alcoholic. If you want to fully recover from alcoholism, you can. There are recovery programs for that. I have an issue with that personally. When I see people that will relapse and go from having a beer to they just decided that they may as well go shoot up because at that point they've relapsed. When they are constantly sitting in the rooms and constantly hearing it over and over again, they never move on from the heroin or the fentanyl or the whatever. And as soon as something comes up, well, that's the first thing on their mind because they're, oh, I'm an addict, so of course I'm going to relapse. Good. I think that a lot of sponsors and a lot of people in the program would say that like that's you should have been in hundreds of meetings in that time. But yeah, I mean, if you went to 10 meetings and that saved your life, I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is the way that most people work the program. you are the exception, and that sounds awesome. And if we could all be the exception, then I would be supportive of this. But no, that's how I feel. What am I getting wrong? What am I getting wrong? Because I'm not trying to like misinterpret what you're saying. I feel like I feel as though you're saying I've misunderstood you. So I want to make sure that I'm understanding you. You went to about 1,000 meetings. Okay. Okay. I don't know if I've been to 1,000 meetings. I did not do the 90 meetings in 90 days. Nope. Fuck that. They did get me in jail though. I never got my like white tag. I never got a white tag because I was in jail. I couldn't have it. 88. Congratulations. That's I mean, that's almost 40 years. I I guess to me, I think that it would be a problem to me after 40 years that I'm still thinking like, oh, I'm an alcoholic, even though I haven't had a drink in 40 years. I just don't see the logic in it. I don't see the logic in thinking that like any day you could slip up. Because I have very good friends who absolutely were alcoholics when they were younger. Unfortunately. And they got their shit together. One of them when he was younger and one of them when he was older. But like neither of them are alcoholics anymore. They went through a period of recovery. And now they're no longer they're no longer addicted to alcohol. They could take it or leave it. People can drink around them. It's not a problem. If they by accident took a sip of somebody's beer, it wouldn't be an issue. And they have no desire to drink. In fact, the one what watches these sometimes, and his joke is always like, I need to like start going to meetings because he's never been to meetings. He's like, I need to start going to meetings and like having a beer, just proving them that it can be done. Again, I don't. If I don't think that there is such a thing as a sober alcoholic. Like that's not a thing. I don't. I mean, that's an AA thing. That's a thing that AA invented. But like an alcoholic is someone who has alcohol use disorder. And alcohol use disorder is something that you can be cured of. It's not something that is a lifetime disease. You can have alcohol use disorder this year and not have it next year. That's how alcohol use disorder works. That's how the medical community understands alcohol use disorder to work. And before Bill sent out a bunch of freaking cards to a bunch of doctors all over the country in a time when nobody understood how alcohol use disorder worked, telling them that he had the answer. He had this new disease called alcoholism, and he had the answer. And poor Ruth, what's her face, had to hand type up 20,000 addressed cards because he couldn't let them handwrite them. Made her type them up, 20,000 of them on a manual typewriter. Poor woman. No, I got you. But yeah, I don't think that there is such a thing as a sober alcoholic. I think that's a made up term by AA. Alrighty. Thank you for coming by, and I appreciate your insight and your comments. Like I said, hit me up on Discord. If you want to come on sometime and have a chat, because I would love to schedule that and do that sometime. But yeah. I was gonna make a joke about like a AA mantra there, but I'm not going to. I think that would be insensitive. Thank you. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I really do appreciate you coming by, and I really do appreciate your comments. And I hope that doesn't sound flippant. I know, like, I'm autistic and socially awkward, so sometimes I do come off as sounding flippant. So I hope that isn't the case.
This program again, but actually, I'm going to base what I'm going to say over the next 4 programs on an article written by a man who calls himself Orange. And you can actually go to his website. I recommend it. It's called the Orange Papers, like
The Orange
the
Papers.
color orange, and papers, like newspaper. The Orange Papers. Type in Orange Papers, and his website will come up. And he has an article. He has a lot of articles, but this one in particular is titled, "What's Wrong with AA?" What's wrong with AA? So I'm basing what I'm going to do on the next 4 programs off of that article. So I'll be quoting him from time to time, and just
He does have
inserting some of.
He has the, I'm pretty sure, set up pretty differently now than he did in 2013. So I haven't even like gotten to the article that he's talking about, because I wanted with Spackle to kind of like start. He has it sort of set up like chapters in a book, but there's also all kinds of hyperlinks where you can jump between, and they're all cross-referenced. And again, theorangepapers.com. I do also recommend everybody go there and check it out. It has a lot of really interesting information.
My own insights, but the whole thing is that you just get this, folks, because we've been fooled for a long time. 75 years is a long time to think one way about something, and to find out it's not so. This program is not at all what it's presented itself to be and what it appears to be. And you'll see that as we move along. But I'd like to start out by reading step 4. Now, each of these programs have 12 steps. That's why they're called 12-step programs. But step 4 reads, "Made a searching and fearless inventory of ourselves." Well, that's what we're going to do for the next 4 programs. We're going to make a searching and fearless inventory, but not of ourselves. We're going to make one of Alcoholics Anonymous. Let's see what this thing, let's give it a good examination and see what it's really all about. And by the way, these are things you can look up for yourself. The sources are there. Like I said, I recommend you go to the Orange Papers. He lays the sources out for you, so you can go find this information for yourself.
Yeah, he cites it all. Like, he'll be like, big book, page, blah, 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 blah. He does have the blue version, not this version, which I did notice when I ordered my textbooks earlier this week, because I never order them at the start of class. I wait until the teacher actually says that we need the textbook. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And I noticed that one of the booksellers that I got my textbook from had a blue copy of the AA Big Book for like $5. And I was like, well, if I get free shipping and it's used, I think I can justify that. Maybe. I don't know. I think I can. So I ordered it. So I'm getting a blue copy of the Big Book, the ones that they like use now. Which a lot of it is like you can get PDFs of it, like kind of chapter by chapter online. Not like one of the whole thing, but
there's also a book called 12 Steps to Destruction by Martin and Deidre Bobgen. It's a free online book that you can read. And Orange's website is also free. It's actually an online book that you can read. So this information is free.
But this is the first I had heard of the Orange Papers.
And check it out.
Just like, what is this? The Orange Papers.
The first thing that I want to point out that's wrong with AA and all these other 12-step programs is that it doesn't work, folks. Every meeting, I was there 23 years ago. I thank God I escaped before I got so brainwashed and so deceived that I'd still be there today and maybe relapsing and going on these drinking binges or drug binges and possibly even dead if I had continued in this thing. But what you hear over and over, it works if you work it. It works if you work it. I mean, you just hear that over and over in the meeting. So
I do have concern. I agree with him that like I do think it in some ways encourages people who are sort of past that initial hurdle of quitting. It keeps them in that sort of phase of never like fully getting over the hurdle, never fully being able to move on with their life. Right? At every step of the way, they're, I'm so and so, I'm an alcoholic. That's how they identify. It becomes part of their identity.
But I'm here to tell you, it doesn't work. Yeah,
I do, yeah,
and
12
I want
steps
to
to
say this. I'm
destruction, I
talking.
think.
Look, I'm talking to Christians and non-Christians both. You don't have look. You don't have to be a Christian to see some of these just common sense, basic truths. That this thing is dangerous and it's deceptive. And not only do you not have to be a Christian to see that, but you don't have to be a Christian to know it's wrong. You have a conscience. All of us have consciences. So, but I am going to quote a scripture here, there for Christians to understand why we in particular need to be aware of this thing and stay away from this thing and warn other people about this thing and not have these programs in our churches.
Which I did appreciate him saying that, because I am not a Christian. I am atheist. And I feel like that's sort of a different perspective that I hadn't really thought of. That, yeah, people who are believers are really not going to necessarily have the same objections that I'm going to have. Is abuse of anything considered to be dangerous? Probably. I'm thinking, by definition, abuse. No, I guess not necessarily. Like, I could abuse a piece of plastic silverware and or I guess it would be silverware at that point. Plastic flatware, and break it, right? But that wouldn't necessarily be dangerous. It would just result in broken flat. I go by almost anything in moderation is acceptable. Anything in excess is absurd. Um, that's an interesting take. I agree with you on almost anything in moderation is acceptable. I'm a maximalist. There's some things that I like to go for in excess, right? Sometimes I want to go all out. Sometimes I want to go to a heavy metal concert and wear earplugs and still have my ears ringing the next day because I can feel that shit in my body. Right. But yeah, I kind of get what you're saying. That substances, there's a maximum you don't want to exceed. Breaking plastic turns into microplastics in the environment, thus permeates the blood-brain barrier. It becomes dangerous. Yeah, I mean, I think that probably microplastics, there is a level that's probably dangerous. I don't know where it is. I do sometimes wonder if we are in an era of sort of stupid, where the lead in our environment caused an era of kind of angry. If you look at our history, and I don't really have all the data to explain all of it, but if you're familiar with the lead in the environment making everybody angry for a while, I think that we're in maybe something stupid phase. Microplastics. I don't know. They'll find out probably.
The Bible says, have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness. That's Ephesians 5:11. And what that's saying is, don't participate in something that's based on deception and lies. And not only is it saying that it's a work
I
of
agree.
darkness, but it's unfruitful. It's not doing any good. As a matter of fact, it's doing harm. And the Bible says, this verse says, don't participate in that. But yet, man, we've got thousands of churches around the United States, and I don't know what's happening in some of the other countries, but
I'm not saying that I agree with him on that. I'm saying I agree with probably the Bible on that. Yeah, I agree with that philosophy. Yeah. Lead is a psyop. The paint prevents transmission in and out of electronics. Governments knew they would be needing to penetrate our domiciles in order to spy on us. Thus, outlawed lead. Okay. That is an angle I am not familiar with.
assuming it's the same thing, that some of these churches
I
are
would have to
actually
look into
letting
that more.
this cult,
Not sure if I
let's
have
just
the
call
time.
it what it is,
If
this
you have
religious cult.
if you have resources that you want to send me on Discord that has more information about that, I'm interested to look at it more. I told you, I'm full-time back at school this semester, so you get it.
Set itself up inside their buildings. They're
You're
actually
you're
renting them
okay.
rooms. Churches are.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a Christian.
Send me some
By the way, I'm
resources.
also a preacher. I'm a Christian preacher. So I'm not an atheist here, angry. I hate churches, and so that's why I'm
I
just going
am.
to tell the truth where it needs to
No,
be
I don't
told.
hate
Hey, all
churches.
guilty
I don't
parties
like churches.
need to be held accountable in this situation, in this problem that we have here with these meetings, with these programs, with these support groups. It doesn't work. The statistics actually show that it doesn't work. Like I said, I'm not going to show you all that on this program. Get online, go do some homework. I'm not going to do it all for you. I don't have time. That's why. If I had the time, I'd do it, but I don't. I'm saying go online, go to the
That's
orange
why he's
paper,
using a
and
camcorder
look at the
from
research. And you'll see these are
1997.
good studies. These aren't,
He's not
bogus
had the
studies.
time to
These are
update
good,
it.
controlled studies that are done on these programs. And I'm telling you, the thing doesn't work. Now, I may be getting ahead of myself, but look, the thing is that this program has presented itself as though it's a medical answer, a medical / spiritual answer, but it tries to sound science.
Are those trees in the back? Are those called FICA trees? I feel like my mom had like several of those in like every random corner of like an
Scientific,
office
in its
space.
solution. And the Bible calls that science falsely so called. We're supposed to be warning
What
people
is the
about
name of that
science
tree?
falsely so
The
called, or
fake one.
false science, false knowledge. They pretend that they have this knowledge about what problem you have, and we're going to talk about that. And you've
Fake
heard it, the
ficus? Okay.
disease idea. You've got a disease and you need to recover. And
That's what I was wondering.
and the way to do it is to work these 12 steps. Well, look, there's no evidence that those steps work. You're just simply taking the word of these people who have actually been misled. They actually know how to trick you into believing.
That's the other thing that it's like, I think that so this is a whole like group that is just like group led by like other alcoholics who like their only qualification is that they're also alcoholics. So like you both have shit like so okay, you the thing that like makes you an authority is that you also fucked up your life. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. No, ficus was the word that I was searching for. Thank you. Yeah, they are plastic. I think they used to call them silk trees, didn't they? I don't think it's actually silk leaves. I think it's just like some kind of plastic. Okay, but I'm not seeking to understand alcoholism if I'm like trying to like get sober. I'm trying to understand like habit breaking and like forming habits as a sober person. I think that I would want like a psychiatrist or a psychologist or like somebody. Like I get what you're saying, but I don't think that that applies because the only thing that they have, like, okay, if I need plumbing advice, am I gonna go to like the guy who always has, like, who also always has a leaking toilet? Okay. If my taps are leaking, am I gonna ask the guy who I know his taps are also always leaking? Take it away from toilets. I feel like the toilet plumber is like a too common thing. I'm not trying to insult plumbers here because plumbers are cool. Um, but you get what I'm saying. Like I'm gonna go to a master plumber who doesn't have who doesn't have leaky pipes, who maybe did when he was younger but doesn't anymore. and not somebody who like still identifies as like, well, sometimes I have leaky pipes. You know, I wanted to go to the guy who got over that. Something about let's see, great philosopher Wesley Snipes movie Blade. When you understand the monster, you know what it is capable of. I mean, I get that, but for me, to me, I should say, to me, that seems like a reason to stay there like a year. Work the steps once. Maybe if you feel like, okay, I really could like get something from working the steps again, do it again. Do the steps twice. And we need to cut that 12th one a little bit short. The proselytizing is a little much. I appreciate you. Ditto. For sure. Thanks for being here. Yeah, I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
That it works when it doesn't. And I'm gonna explain that to you in a moment. You know, maybe not in this program, but at least in the next 2 or 3 programs, you'll hear how the game is played. But another reason that I'm saying something's wrong with AA is because it doesn't it hurts people. I just, you know, let me just, it also, it kills. It actually kills some people.
I think so.
The statistics actually show that. Yeah, and the Bible even says that the thief, talking about the devil, comes only to kill, steal, and to destroy. So what I'm trying to show you is that the facts line up with the Bible. So Christians, you need to, understand that. The Bible has already told you about this sort of thing, this kind of deception. But then even the research is supporting it. What more do you need to act upon this and stop participating in it, sending?
Because I knew that it was a small number of people that actually recovered through AA. You know, I know all of it. You know, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path, but like it's still only like 5%, right? It works if you work it. But I was amazed when I saw that like their own researchers, like their own supporters of AA, those researchers are saying, look, like it's not necessarily like there's not a statistically significant difference between these two groups, but we can't just give up. So like we got to do something. And I agree with that. And we did keep doing some things. And we now we have other recovery programs that are more well-researched, peer-reviewed, that actually have statistically significant results. But AA is not one of them. Yes, in some cases. Right? If somebody needs a crutch long term, maybe we need to like look into something like some type of prosthesis or some type of wheelchair or that's, and I'm not saying that like anytime that you like go through something that your brain can magically heal from it, and you'll always be 100% better and not, you know what I mean? But I think that my brain, frankly, is probably more changed from going through the 12 steps than it was from any type of like drink and drug that I did. Now, I will say this is my whole journey of discovery with this has been a bit of a different sort of longer one. I first sort of realized that I wasn't getting any help out of the 12 steps. And I kind of came to the conclusion on my own that like, okay, well, I guess I'm just not an alcoholic or an addict. And as they would say, I'm not a pickle, I'm a cucumber. Right. And that's why I wasn't really getting anything out of it. But for many years, I was still just like, well, that's That's the only way. It's the only way. It's the only way. And I realized that I had these men in my life, and I keep saying these men in my life. It's just because there are 2 specific people in my life who are both men, um, who both quit alcohol. One of them had quit in the time that I was in the 12 steps, and that was, I met him after I had started the 12 steps, and I through an acquaintance kinda thing, but, he was one of the people who was sort of, like, approved in a way for me to hang out with when I was in the 12 steps because he was sober, and because of that, I kind of had developed more of a relationship with him, but I realized, like, looking back, it was like he was not gonna put me down for, like, shit at him, but, like, he never was, like, receptive of any of it, and he laughs about it now because he's like, "Yes, we're in some fucked up shit," but, like, what was I to say? Um, and he had quit then, and then, like I said, another friend of ours, quit after that. Um, and he had been, like, to the 12 steps, like, a couple of, like, meetings as an observer when he was, like, much younger, decades before. And I do think it's interesting that, people who are in the 12 steps will attribute that and say, "Well, see, if he had never been in those rooms where he had heard that, as an outsider, then it would have never he would have never been able to pick up that hurdle, like, 20 years later." But, no, he did fucking smart recovery, and, he sees a therapist, and, I don't know if he still sees a therapist. I don't know. The other guy did not even see a therapist. He just kinda went cold turkey. His family was like, "You need to fucking knock that shit off." And they all kind of quit enabling him, and he fucking got his shit together. Ba-boom. When people wanna get their shit together, about 5%. GS says, "It's sort of like people that get a lap band surgery to tie off their stomach in order to lose weight versus diet and exercise." Okay, so here's the thing, is you can't do it versus. That's the problem, is that, like, you have to do both. You have to, like, the one supports the other, and that, I think, is the issue with those, like, but I kinda get what you're saying, that it's like, yes, your life, you have to change your behavior afterwards. You have to want sincerely to change your behavior beforehand, need some fucking help, and then use that assistance and everything that comes along with it. And yes, then it will help you. But if you just get the lap, oh no, why am I flashing? That was weird. I thought I saw another comment come in, but then all of my stuff. Oh no. Here, let me try closing some programs. We might have to end early tonight if this keeps up, but we'll see. It is slightly freezing. Okay. It is. It really is. And my shit like totally crashed last night. So I think that there might be other issues going on with my PC and I should have been nicer to it. Oh yeah, let's get rid of all of that. Let's see. Hopefully that's better. Sorry, guys. Fingers crossed. Back to bed. Okay, now not freezing. Okay. This was the comment that I was like, I thought I saw one come through. Well, if one has the discipline to diet and exercise, they wouldn't need the quick fix. That's the thing, though, is it's not a quick fix. I think that it's like seen that way to the public, but that's not like the way that it actually works. And if the doctor performing it is like worth his weight, then he's actually going to be explaining that to the patient. Because it's not a quick fix. It's a support for a lifestyle. Let's see. I'm trying to close some more stuff up. But yeah, it shouldn't be a quick fix. It shouldn't be something that you're looking at. There is no quick fix, right? There's no quick fix to quitting alcohol. There is no quick fix to losing weight. When we're talking about lifestyle change, there is no quick fix. But once you make the change, ideally, you don't need the support long term. You don't need to wear the cast forever. And I get like, there's maybe you need to wear a knee brace when you run for the rest of your life, right? Um, but I think that there's more to it. There's more depth to it than that. And I certainly don't think that it's a quick fix on either account.
Instead, what you should be doing is warning people. The Bible says, have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but I didn't tell you the rest. It says, but rather.
It's mind over matter, and if you don't mind, it shouldn't matter. Yeah. If it's not bothering you, don't change it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? My grandfather was an alcoholic. We couldn't cold turkey him. Doctor said that would kill him. Yeah. That happens for a lot of people. That's the free center that I first went to. The inpatient center had like a whole separate little wing that I was never allowed in, but it was specifically for like people who were like coming off of narcotics and alcohol, where they would have like DTs basically, where they needed like constant medical attention. Am I still frozen? Or are we delayed? I'm thinking maybe I should wrap it up here. Because, yeah, that's about everything that I can close out. So I seem to be back now. Okay. Let's chat for a little bit and see. Well, maybe even try minusing him out. We'll chat for a little bit. And if we're good to go, then I can go for another hour. But if it's gonna be constantly glitching out, that seems like it wouldn't be fun, right? Like, he'd drink a gallon of vodka if we could get it a day. Oh my gosh. That's okay, so I have a friend who he drank a lot, and he would drink multiple gallons of beer a day. And I do remember at one point, because when it would get bad, he kind of like went through phases. When it would get bad, it would be like hard liquor. And he wouldn't go through a gallon, but it was like a fifth, like a handle that where it's got like the I don't have a anything that size. Sorry. I don't keep I might have no, I guess it wouldn't have been a fifth, it would have been a half gallon because that would be the next size up. Because a fifth is like the size of like a wine bottle, right? Okay, thank you. He was a mean and nasty asshole. That's kind of what I've heard about my grandfather. I never met my grandfather. He died before I was born because he stopped taking his blood pressure medication because his blood pressure went down and then he had a stroke. He's kind of an idiot. But it's this weird divide where my grandmother would like sometimes talk about him being a mean and nasty asshole. My dad did this too. But the two of them would sometimes talk about like he was this mean, awful, nasty asshole. Felt like he kind of was in some ways. And then other times they would be like, oh, like he did like this like really sweet, like endearing thing. And it would be like moderate, like a like man doing the bare minimum. But my aunt, she's like, oh no, like he was like always like really sweet and like yeah, he like got a temper when he was drunk, but like he was just like really, besides that, he was like a teddy bear. I'm like, did you people have the same father? You know what I mean? Gio, Gio Sam. Some people are more prone to alcoholism. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that needs to be smart. What is it about? And is it people who have because yes, we've confirmed that there's a genetic link, or I guess they've confirmed that it's a familial link. My understanding is it's not necessarily genetic. So like if you are adopted by an alcoholic, then you and your kids have a higher chance of becoming alcoholic. Is my understanding. And I would like to know more about that. And I would like to know more about like if you are raised by somebody who has bipolar, if you are raised by somebody who has narcissistic tendencies, if you are um, one of the books, oh, I don't have it. I've got to go get it out of storage probably. But one of the books that I recommend for a lot of people, if like you had maybe not a great upbringing, is Adult Children of Emotionally. Oh, what is the book? The book. It was like one of these that like unlocked so much shit for me. I was just like, oh yeah, like that makes sense why I like have difficulty with these things. But it's not like narcissistic. It was like I'm gonna find it really quick. Emotionally immature parents or something, I think. Adult children of emotionally immature parents. Mm, thought for sure it would be on my Amazon. There we go. Adult children of emotionally immature parents: how to heal from distant, rejecting, and self-involved parents. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That got a lot of stuff into perspective for me anyway. That I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense why I have that type of response to stuff. Why some people can walk away, why others have a hard time. Yep. It seems like a complex mix of genetics, environmental, and developmental factors. I think it absolutely is. And I think that it's kind of, we've studied a lot of this shit in like education, in like early childhood psychology, in as far as like a lot of behaviors that will present themselves by young adulthood. Adolescence a lot up into young adulthood. Beyond that, it hasn't really been studied so much, right? We've studied it like in education and shit like that, but like what is this like nature versus nurture when it comes to those types of things that maybe don't always show up until later? So I want to know. And I think that a lot of times for alcoholics, it is just been studied like, oh, did you have any alcoholics in the family? You know? And I think it's more complex than that. Howdy, howdy. So is stream coming through okay on the video? Are we ready to risk the video again for the next hour? Let's give it a shot and see.
To size, it needs to be blamed for what it's doing.
I see it.
So not only
I see it. It immediately started freezing. Okay. Okay. Well, dang. It looks like we got some people that are just now joining us, unfortunately. But it looks like I'm going to have to call it quits early. I'm kind of upset about that, but I'll have to take a look at the computer and see what's going on. It did play. Yeah, I saw it play, but then like I also saw on my streamers where like everything just like froze. Yeah. Yeah. We'll see what's up. I shall take a look and see. But thank you all for coming. Let's see. Take this guy. And I was actually not set up to switch back over to this quite as quickly. Let's see. So, quote for the week: try not to become a person of success, but rather try to become a person of value. You got this, guys. All right. Thank you. We'll see you next week.